AI is more inevitable than you think. When people talk about artificial intelligence, they often imagine some flawless superintelligence that may never arrive. But that's the wrong expectation. The real danger is not that AI will be too powerful, but that it will be just powerful enough, and at low enough of a cost, to replace us before we are ready. AI doesn't need to be perfect to matter. It just needs to be cheaper and more reliable than hiring a person for the same job, and in many cases, that's already true. The cost of AI's mistakes is now lower than the cost of paying some forms of human labor. That is the economic threshold that matters. If expectation is perfection, well, disappointment is guaranteed. But if the expectation is a worker who is good enough and cheaper, AI is already here. Case Study 1. Development, not decline. Observed action. Critics dismiss AI as overhyped because it isn't yet profitable. Evidence offered. Early-stage technologies like the internet and smartphones also ran years without profits. Venture data shows most startups fail, but the survivors redefine industries. Gap. If the evidence shows early losses are normal, why do critics still treat AI's lack of profits as proof of failure? Third factor. A short-term profit script, a cultural bias that equates quarterly returns with long-term value. Re-anchored action. Recognize AI's current failures as the normal cost of innovation. Investment continues, not because of hype, but because the evidence supports long-term payoff once the short-term bias is stripped away. Here, AI can surface the hidden cultural script on its own, but humans must still decide how to act on it, whether to double down on investment, regulate, or redirect. Inevitability does not erase responsibility. Case study number 2. Not another blockchain. Observed action. Skeptics compare AI to blockchain and call it another bubble. Evidence offered. Blockchain promised transformation but struggled to find consistent practical use cases. AI, by contrast, is already embedded in workflows. Law firms draft contracts with it, hospitals analyze scans, businesses automate reporting. Gap. If AI already has working use cases, why is it still equated with blockchain hype? Third factor. Negativity bias. Assuming new technologies are scams because one high-profile example disappointed. Also, it's possible that some people have an incentive to publish highly engaging material using negative emotion for publicity. Re-anchored action. Treat AI as a working tool, not a speculative gamble. The evidence shows it is already delivering value. Some applications will fail, but the adoption pattern is real and accelerating. Again, the evidence shows inevitability, but the gap reveals bias. Dismissing AI as just another bubble may feel safe, but that comfort blinds us to disruption. Case Study 3. Where the pressure will be felt. Observed action. Many assume only blue-collar jobs are at risk from automation. Evidence offered. Studies show up to 30% of white-collar tasks are automatable. AI-driven robotics are already replacing repetitive manual labor in logistics and manufacturing, there's a reason dock workers, voice actors, and the Writers Guild demand protections against AI. Gap. If evidence shows both white and blue-collar roles are exposed, why does the belief persist that white-collar jobs are safe? Third factor. A cultural script that equates education and office work with immunity from automation, probably owing to the previous trends in automotive and assembly line work. Re-anchored action. Expect restructuring across industries. Both skilled and unskilled roles will feel pressure, not because of hype, but because the evidence shows AI can already do good enough work at lower cost. Here, stewardship means preparing workers and institutions for disruption, not pretending immunity exists. The belief that education protects us is not just wrong, it is dangerous because it delays adaptation. Case Study 4. Anchoring against drift. Observed action. Workers respond to displacement with resignation, saying, "Nothing matters, why bother?" Evidence offered. Surveys show rising anxiety about automation and skepticism about retraining. Public discourse increasingly includes fatalistic language about machines taking over. Gap. If retraining and adaptation are possible, why do people default to despair? Third factor. Negativity bias. Defaulting to the worst outcome because the future feels unfamiliar. Re-anchored action. Use fairness, reciprocity, and hospitality as anchors. Fairness in retraining access, reciprocity in sharing productivity gains, and hospitality in welcoming displaced workers into new roles. These norms bridge evidence to action and prevent drift into nihilism. Once again, the evidence shows adaptation is possible, but the gap reveals bias, and the human role is to anchor meaning. Remember, meaning is fragile, and despair accelerates its collapse. If we fail to act, resignation becomes self-fulfilling. Case number 5. The inevitable curve. Observed action. Commentators argue AI's spread is hype, or else assume it will benefit everyone equally. Evidence offered. The cost of AI's errors is already lower than human labor in many domains. Its applications span healthcare, finance, education. Even in something as mundane as email, AI is already reclaiming hours of lost productivity for anyone using it. Gap. If adoption is already happening, why do some dismiss it as hype while others assume universal benefit? Third factor. Complexity bias. Flattening uneven impacts into a single narrative, either all hype or all benefit. Re-anchored action. Adoption is rational and inevitable, but uneven. The evidence shows benefits and harms will be distributed differently across sectors. Avoid assuming inevitability means fairness. Deliberate anchoring is required. In closing, ActFoE reveals AI's inevitability by exposing the gaps between evidence and action. Each time the evidence alone doesn't justify the observed claim, a hidden third factor, bias, cultural script, or unspoken value emerges. By surfacing these factors, we can re-anchor actions in evidence and shared norms. But inevitability does not mean independence. Even in developing this video, we saw both sides of human-AI collaboration. Sometimes AI surfaced hidden factors on its own, and humans acted as meaning managers. Other times, off-screen, AI misapplied its tools, and human guidance was required to redirect it. You can see both examples on screen now. Pause if you'd like to read this. Now, this should not surprise us. Even humans fail at this everyday task. We misapply our own heuristics, drift into bias, and resign ourselves to nihilism. Just look at the news. Entire institutions built on human judgment stumble over the same traps. The danger is not that AI will destroy meaning, but that we will fail to defend it. The difference is not that AI is uniquely flawed, but that decision-making itself is fragile. The lesson is clear. AI is inevitable, but meaning is not. Human stewardship is not optional. It is the anchor that keeps both machines and ourselves from drifting. If we fail to anchor AI's outputs in fairness, reciprocity, hospitality, and forgiveness, then the drift into nihilism will not come from the machine. It will come from us. AI is inevitable. Meaning is fragile. Whether it survives depends on us.